I spoke last night about the ABC and how it's misusing your tax dollars. Last Sunday's Compass program, the Easter Sunday edition of Compass, no less, spruiked a new religion founded by artist Deborah Kelly on the back of Trump's election victory. It seems to be a so-called religion of Trump derangement syndrome, also of climate alarmism, queer culture, anarchy, and Lord knows what else. You couldn't make this stuff up.
It is a covertly Indigenous theology, which is profoundly anarchistic, collectivist, queer, feminist, worshipful of Earth and its entwined systems. It's witchcraft.
Your taxpayer dollars there, hard at work. A religion tailor-made for the ABC, perhaps the only religion to suit them at the ABC. Well, I just want to share another example of the national broadcaster abusing your tax dollars. The ABC is advertising for a senior advisor, diversity and inclusion. In fact, it's two jobs, one full-time and the other part-time, only 3 days a week. I wonder if that's working from home. And these jobs pay pretty well, from $106,000 up to $130,000 a year. And, of course, they come with 15% superannuation. If you're interested, you'd be required to analyse workforce data and employee feedback to identify diversity and inclusion trends, gaps and opportunities. In other words, create a spreadsheet and divide employers by sexuality, race and gender and the like. Interestingly, the ad notes the ABC also aims to achieve a gender-balanced workforce. I thought we weren't supposed to see the world in such binary terms, but looking at their latest diversity report, Auntie employs almost 56% women and 43.5% men. Maybe that's why they need another diversity advisor to address this imbalance and employ more people who identify as men. Look, as you know, the only diversity they do not have at the ABC is the one thing their extra diversity officers will not address, and that is ideological or political diversity. None of the other diversity should matter. We shouldn't care whether people are men or women, are African, Indigenous, Caucasian or Asian. We shouldn't care if they're gay, straight or bisexual or what religion they are. But we do need different ideas at the ABC. We do need a contest of ideas. And the trouble is, at the ABC, all we get is an ideological monoculture. The only diversity is various shades of green left. And that means they're taking a lot of taxpayers' dollars under false pretences. Let's cross to Queensland now and catch up with the One Nation leader and founder, Pauline Hanson. Thanks for joining us, Pauline. To tell you what, if you ever left politics, that's a good job for you. Diversity and inclusion at the ABC.
They wouldn't even give me a second look.
No.
So anyway, I think you should go into politics, Chris. I think you covered this quite nicely. I can see you on the floor of Parliament espousing these views. You
tell them they need more redheads. Tell them they need more right-wing redheads. Beat them at their own game.
Diversity.
Now, give us your thoughts on the coalition announcement today from Peter Dutton and Andrew Hastie. $21 billion extra in defence over the next 5 years. Not much detail, if any, about what it will be spent on. We know they're going to go for that fourth squadron of the Joint Strike Fighter. That's a good move. What else would the money be spent on? I mean, we know there's a problem with personnel and recruiting and maintaining staff. Do you think we've got enough on the table from this announcement today?
Well, it's a start, Chris, and that's what's important about it, and I back it fully. We do need to put more money into defence. I've done 5 defence programs through the Parliament, and I've learnt a lot, from submarines over to Afghanistan, to the Air Force, the Border Force, and we do need to ensure that we have national security for our country. I don't feel confident or feel safe under the Labor government because Albanese has disregarded the Chinese being in our waters. He thinks that just because they call him handsome boy that he gets on well with them. But I tell you, what I've been told is the word handsome boy is actually an insult. So it's really an insult. It's not a compliment to Albanese. So they probably want to keep him there. He's not going to put up defence funding. By no means. We're way behind the 8 ball. I think it's a good move by the coalition. And when Don Farrow said the other day, he said, oh, well, if we get in trouble and need defence, we can call on New Zealand. Give me a break. I don't think New Zealand will be able to defend us against China or anyone else.
He didn't say that, did he? That must have skated past me. I didn't realise that. That was Don Farrell, was it? New Zealand. I mean, they have no defence force, effectively.
Yeah.
I suppose it's a pity
this... on the ABC last Sunday.
I'll check it out. This hasn't figured very prominently, really, the debate here. I still can't get over the way Anthony Albanese, instead of admonishing China or demanding more information from China over those live firing exercises in the Tasman Sea, he essentially made excuses for China, ran the argument from Beijing. And he hasn't exercised much alarm about Russia dealing with Indonesia either.
No, he hasn't. And I've got to ask people, you know, if there is a war to break out between Taiwan and China, where are we going to stand with it with the Labor government? What are they going to do about it? Will they actually try and defend Taiwan being taken over? Or what are they going to do? This is important questions need to be asked of Albanese because they said, you know, it could disrupt over there in about 2027. So we've only got a couple of years that this may happen, and if that be the case, we're going to have a Labor government by the looks of the polls, and I hope not. So even that, with Russia, with Indonesia, we haven't been told the truth. He hasn't been forthcoming to tell the Australian people what is going to happen.
Yeah, I've got to get, speaking of polls, I've got to get your thoughts on preference deals. I've talked a lot at the top of the program about Labor and the Greens preferences. You've changed a lot of One Nation preferences to favour the coalition in the last couple of days, including in Peter Dutton's own seat of Dixon, where he's got a very narrow margin. What have the coalition given you in return?
Well, they didn't give anything to us in return. Why it came about, Chris, is we've always had the coalition ahead of Labor, Teals and the Greens. We've always said that. But we had minor parties before the coalition preference flow. But since Clive Palmer came out and said he's actually going to preference the Teals and Labor before the coalition members of Parliament, I thought that's not on. Because if we went out before Clive Palmer did, our preferences would possibly flow to him, which would flow to the Teals and flow to the Labor. And therefore, that's why we changed it in about 10 or 11 seats. So we changed it so we would give our second preference to the coalition government, especially Peter Dutton. He's on a 1.7% margin, so it is imperative that Peter Dutton gets back in and wins his seat. And I don't trust Clive Palmer. His talk about, you know, someone has done the wrong by his preferences, putting out there, that's a load of rubbish, absolute rubbish. They would have control of it. They own the graphics. They would have sent it to the printers. This is a cover-up because he knows it's been a backlash. He's got his own candidates walking away from him.
Yep.
He's got volunteers that won't hand out how-to-vote cards for him now. So it's been a backlash against Clive Palmer, and I'm pleased to see it because he's not good for the country.
Yeah, well done and well said. Thanks for joining us, Pauline. Pauline Hanson there, live from Queensland. That is a big issue, the Clive Palmer trumpet of patriots mob. Now, I don't know why people would vote for them. I know some of you do. You have your own reasons. But remember that his preference recommendations could be very, very damaging for the coalition. A lot of them going to Teals and the like before the coalition. So remember, you have control over your preferences.